Okay, everyone. So now what? So you've tried to reintroduce gluten or dairy or any other food, and you experience some brain fog and painful joints, for example. Now what? Now, the answer, of course, is it's up to you. An elimination diet only provides us with information. It's not a moral compass that dictates how to live your life. Some people will say things like, I'd rather experience the odd migraine than give up cheese forever. Well, okay, your health is yours. No one can tell you how to live or what to eat. However, knowledge is power. The knowledge and this knowledge from an elimination diet can help you make decisions that can help you manage your symptoms. If you know that dairy causes you to get migraines, you might decide A, to never consume cheese again, B, to avoid cheese before important events where you really would like to avoid getting a migraine. C, moderate your cheese intake and see how much you can get away with before enough inflammation builds in the body that it provokes a migraine. D, continue to experiment. So is it all cheese? Is it just some cheese? Is it for, fermented things? Do certain digestive enzymes help, etc.? E, avoid cheese completely for some time, so a few months to even years, and then explore reintroducing it. Our gut and our immune system can change over time. So there are plenty of options. The key here is that your body and your health and your diet are under your jurisdiction, and you get to choose. Knowing you have a food sensitivity or an intolerance does not mean you have to do anything, or even that you should. It only provides you with information, and with that information, you now have some options. Your healthcare practitioner can help you come up with a plan or even provide you with some more information and guidance for continuing to avoid the food and or for continuing to explore your relationship with that food or with other foods in general or with food in general. But I wanted to share here some final notes on inflammation so that your decision can be more informed. So, once you've identified a food sensitivity, you most likely have to avoid that food for several months in order to fully allow the immune system to heal, to remove your inflammatory symptoms. So, you don't have to avoid that food, but in order to heal the inflammation, you may have to. So, you may not want to heal the inflammation, is what I'm trying to say. You may not notice an aggravation with small amounts of the food, but that doesn't mean that the food isn't causing low grade inflammation that might not yet be detectable on the level of your symptoms until more of the offending food is added. But that inflammation is still destructive and degenerative to your body. So, a very common question is, can you become more sensitive to a food by removing it? So, a lot of people will swear that this is true. You may have heard this, you may be wondering this. Many of my patients, friends, and family will say that they never had a problem with gluten, for instance, until they did like Whole30 or something like that, and they removed it. And then, since reintroducing it, they now get symptoms. I would argue that they likely always had a problem with that food. Our bodies are smart. When we're in a state of chronic inflammation, our body releases opioids, like we mentioned before, and natural painkillers to manage the inflammation. So we might not notice the symptoms when we're consuming small amounts of that food. Once we remove the source of inflammation and give the body a chance to heal, it no longer needs to produce these painkillers. When the source of inflammation, though, is reintroduced, like the food, we experience the full effects of inflammation on our body. This is part of the reason why an elimination diet is so important. So, for example, have you ever tried on new shoes and they caused your feet to blister? So, I have. I would go for a walk and feel mild discomfort, then moderate discomfort. But then I'd sort of push past it and feel okay. I'm not recommending this, by the way. I wouldn't feel amazing, but I'd feel okay. It was like this chronic, consistent annoyance in my foot. And think about this. This is how a lot of us live our lives. We could feel better. Maybe we don't even know that we could, though. But we're kind of used to how we feel bloated and cranky, tired all the time, sore. When I got home with my too tight shoes or too stiff shoes, I would see my feet in disarray. It seemed incredible that I could have walked an hour with my feet looking that bad. But my body was protecting my sense of pain and discomfort by producing endorphins to get me through the walk. The next day, however, when I tried to put on the same shoes, I could barely put them on because the pain was so bad. My body was completely rejecting the shoes. It was no longer protecting me with natural endorphins and opioids, and I could feel the full extent of my injuries. So I ended up returning those shoes and going with a pair that didn't destroy my feet.